Hi, and very welcome to my channel. Welcome back for you who have been here before. My name is Mia Isaksson, and I am Swedish, and I'm doing my best to make videos in English for you who don't understand Swedish, so that you can listen to what I want to say as well. Today, I will talk about cognitive dissonance. What's that? I don't know about you, but to me, it's more and more things that I see in the world that doesn't make sense. Things doesn't add up. One example is since I was a kid, I was told I have to eat up the food that was on my plate because there are children in Africa starving. And I don't know how it's possible, but we have put so much effort and money into organizations, human rights organizations, help organizations. Uh, Countries are sending aids to other countries. We have done so much to and talked so much about those children in Africa starving, and still, all these years later, they are still starving. So what what is it that we are not doing right? Because obviously we have been aware of it for so long time, and nothing really changed. Another subject is farmers. There has been a lot of protests all over the world, uh, lately a lot, but for many years. And a lot of countries, they have so much rules, regulations, and then laws and punishments and costs, taxes for farmers. So it's more or less impossible for them to survive. And to be a farmer, it's a hard work, but people at least used to like that style of living. But when you actually have to take a mortgage to survive, it's not so much fun anymore. And the next generation don't want to follow the footsteps of their parents because they have seen that it's no way to survive from it. So more and more farmer, they stop producing food, and they stop with the whole business. They get bankrupt or start to do something else. And of course, some rules, for example, that they can't use toxic and things, it is actually a good thing. And it would have been perfect, but the problem is now that the government allows big businesses to uh, get food from other countries, to import stuff which is produced in countries where all these toxics are legal, and they have lower costs and they have less rules, less regulations. So it means that we import food that is not as good and more toxic, but we get it cheaper instead of buying it from our local farmers. And every year we have less and less food produced in our own country. And then when we have some kind of whatever problem in the world, we are not self-independent. We can't manage to produce our own food for our own population. And this is all over the world, more or less. I can't tell you every country, but I've seen this in many, 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 many countries. And the farmers, they try to tell the politicians about it, and nothing really happens. And the big companies, they can still go on taking over the market more and more, and we have less and less good food and local food. And even the transport, to transport all the foods from one country to another all the time, of course it's not environment friendly, and it's also a lot of costs. But still, the food from those other countries are cheaper. So Uh, we need to change this way. And again, we are all aware of it. We know it. And they talk about CO2 all the time. But still, the countries, the politicians, prefer to make it more easy for big business to import food than to support local farmers. Something doesn't add up. Is this good for the country? That we rely on other countries and we can't produce local healthy food anymore? For me, it doesn't really add up. It doesn't sound like this is really good for the people. Another thing is all this science, all this knowledge, all technology, all medicine, everything uh, we have to keep us healthy, but still average people get more and more more and more sick. We have more diseases, we have more illness, we have more diagnosis, we have more depression. So how can it come when everything gets better, we get worse? So something doesn't really add up here either. There, to me, it something is wrong. Another thing that I have been thinking about is that we have so much problem with alcohol, a lot of alcoholics, a lot of young people using alcohol and other stuff, and they start to do crimes. We have a lot of costs in hospitals because of people are getting sick from alcohol. And still, if you look at series and movies, which are very often sponsored from government in one way or the other, uh, there's always people drinking alcohol. More or less every scene is like, if you are upset, you take a drink. If you, when you get from work, you have a drink. If you meet someone, you have a drink. So this is programming the population to drink and drink and drink and normalize this alcohol consumption. And again, my question is this really good for us? Or why is it? They can censor whatever they want in movies and you know, they can cut out. I heard it even cut out the twin towers from I don't know if it's the truth or not. But things like they can censor and say we don't want this in the movie, then we will not buy it or we will not send it or we will not show it or whatever. But still, this alcohol consumption is everywhere, and I can't add add it up either. It doesn't make sense. If you want to have a healthier population, why don't you do something about that? Another very interesting thing, I was brought up in Sweden, and since I was a kid, it was not only the African children starving, it was also the Russians. They were always on the way, and they have been on their way since then, and they still haven't got there. So why all this talk all the time? The newspaper were full of now we have Russian submarines here and there, and actually one sank. But I think that's the only thing that ever happened. But it's all the time. It has been in periods more and less. But now the Russians are coming and they will take over the country. And why are we fed with all this fear that our more or less neighbors will come and take over our country when it actually never happened? For me, it's a little bit strange. Yeah, just saying. More things that doesn't really make sense to me is that again, since I was a kid, I have been hearing about politicians who are corrupt. They got fired or they got um, they realize that they have been doing a lot of stupid things and they have been involved in this and this and this and that. And still, people believe in politicians. They even, a lot of people defend politicians. And of course, I'm not saying everyone is bad, but we are aware of how much corruption there is everywhere. So why aren't people more interested in really looking into what they are doing and really make sure that the people in power are not stealing our money, but actually helping us and try to make the world a better place? Another question that I also have asked out in the universe very often is all these problems with refugees coming to a lot of different countries. And first, there is a problem that they are coming. There are problems at the borders. There are problems bringing them in safely. They come in without papers, which is a problem for, of course, for them, but also for the country. And then because of that, a lot of countries get a lot of problems. Of course, it's different cultures and a lot of illegal people. Doesn't make a safe society for none of us, not for the people coming or for the people living there. But still, I don't hear any politicians uh, talking to the people who create the wars that create the refugees. Why aren't we all focusing on make sure that no country is destroying another country so that the people have to escape their country? I don't think anyone wants to be a refugee because somebody's coming and shooting at them or bombing their houses or destroying their country. I think it's fine if you move to another country because you're interested in it and you want to move there. But if you get forced to leave your home country, your culture, and forced to move to another country, I think that that's difficult. Even if every country do the best to take care of the refugees, it's still a very difficult and sad and tragic and traumatic situation. So why aren't the governments uh, really forcing the countries to stop making the wars like they do to these people, so they can stay in the country, try to find another way to solve conflicts? And no country dare to criticize. Instead, we are all focusing on the good and the bads with foreigners, and we fight about foreigners. And if you say something about it, then you are racist or a Nazi or and we can't even have this discussion on a decent level and look at the real problem, which actually is the country making up all these wars. And that is not only in this case, it's very, very often that we look at the symptoms and not the cause. We try to cure symptoms, we don't look at the cause. We have more technology, more knowledge, but we still have more toxic food. We all know that, oh, we need to detox, we need to eat more healthy, we need to do this and that, and everybody knows we get sick. But why aren't we doing anything about it? And of course, the little person can do things in their own environment, and a lot of people do, but not everyone have enough money to go and buy local food where it's still possible to get it, and not everyone afford to buy biological food and special things like that. So very many people are left to what is there for them. And of course, if you live in the middle of a city, it's not so easy. So why doesn't governments work to to support local stores as well, instead of making this go on and on and on and on. We know it, but still nothing is really happening. Why aren't we changing? Why are we still continue with something that we obviously can see is not good for us? And of course, if a lot of people start to protest, we will see a difference. But I also think that there is a responsibility among politicians to really do something about it instead of just let this go on and on and on. We have all these green movements, we have this CO2 taxes and punishment and all the time on the news what we can do and what we can't do and but still it seems like nothing is really happening. And why is it? Why is it that we just continue on a path where we obviously don't go in a good direction? For me, the Corona times were an eye opener in very very many ways. Uh, First, I noticed that things that actually are good for people was forbidden. For example, I know Sweden wasn't that bad, but very many countries you weren't allowed to even leave your house. And you could go one to the nearest store and back again. So very many people were locked in their houses or apartments, even worse, with no garden, not even a balcony, a whole family with kids, and they couldn't go out. And we know fresh air, sunshine, go to the beach, go out in the woods, in the forest. It's actually good for your health, for your immune system. And the beaches were closed, and you couldn't go outside. And they start to do a lot of regulations for the restaurants that between this hour and that hour you can go to the restaurant, and this hour you can't, or this hour you can sit down, the next hour you can stand up. A lot of rules that didn't really make sense, because if the virus is only there between certain hours, it's a little bit weird. Where is the virus the rest of the time? So that was one thing that absolutely didn't make sense to me. And also, if they could make regulations for the restaurants, why couldn't they make regulations for people to go out in the forest or go down to the beach, so that people could really benefit from the good things from nature? And um, also, television, which is supposed to be like the emergency broadcast possibility in case of an emergency. And what did they do? They were talking all day and night about the danger with the corona, how many died here and how many sick there. But they didn't talk about good stuff. For example, eating healthy, take vitamins, have sunshine, have fun. They even took away the possibility for people to get together to enjoy company of others. Many people have to be alone, which we know is not good for us. So why didn't they work on how to really structure the things so in a healthy way, in a beneficial way, in a way that we could really make the best out of it? No, the only thing they were really talking about and pushing was the vaccine. So how come that it was not all day around programs on uh, what antioxidant you could eat or things like that, and how to stay positive in your energy and things like that? No, there was nothing. And actually, even a lot of people got banned from saying that vitamin D was good for the immune system. So a lot of questions around the corona times. not to mention breathing with all the masks on. One of the most important thing for us is breathing oxygen and to clean our system with the breath. And with the mask on, you really reduce the possibility to get clean air and enough oxygen in there, which in my opinion is absolutely not good for your health. And I think the really most important thing to me about Corona was that they managed to close down the world and change the whole world, change the way people could move and do and act and say and everything in just a couple of weeks. The whole world were changed. And for me, it was like, if they can do this now, they could do it again and get rid of all human trafficking, child pornography, all the bad guys, all the scammers, all illegal people who is doing bad stuff to other people. They could stop that as well in 2 weeks if they want to, because they proved that when they want to, they can stop the world. So why aren't we using the same method to stop evil on Earth when we can obviously do it to stop a flu? Yeah, that was some of the things that I could think of right now. I guess you can think of more things that doesn't add up. And for me, this is cognitive dissonance when something doesn't make sense, it doesn't add up to something else. And I think it's time that we stop defending it, stop denying that there are so many things like this going on. Instead, open our eyes, take responsibility for seeing it. We need to be aware of it. We have to look at it. We have to look close so that we can really see if there is something here that doesn't really add up. And then start to put pressure on the politicians and maybe even start to be a politician or whatever. Maybe we can find a better way, but some way get active and try to change things so that we can make a turn, because in my opinion we are not really on the right track, and make a change and make us back on track again. I hope this was something for you to think about, and I'm very much looking forward to comments. And please subscribe and like, and very good luck with this way we are on, and hope to see you soon again. Bye bye.